and I'll get started. So with EventStream, we added this last year because of COVID, as you probably know, and it allows you to run a virtual auction in addition to your online auction. And the distinction is that when we say virtual, we really mean recreating a lot of the gala online through streaming video. And we've partnered with a group out of California that uses some of the latest and greatest high-speed video communication, kind of the same technology that Zoom uses, or GoToMeeting, or Skype, in that real-time, zero latency video. So that way, instead of trying to readapt your live auction and your fund a need into a more of a unique situation, you can literally recreate what you had at your event online, because people can give in real time. The time that an auctioneer says, I'm going to open the bidding at $5,000. Do I see 5,000? People are receiving that in real time. Where if you've ever tried to do the same thing on YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, when we started to do this, we wanted to use those because they were free, and that would be a really great benefit to everybody. But the delay was significant and it didn't really work. The auctioneer would say, do I hear 5,000? Have to wait 20 seconds, and it just kind of fell apart from there. So what I want to do is show you how I set that up. When you use EventStream, a couple of things happen to your account. The first is that within every single live auction item, so for the sake of showing you, start to finish, I'll just create a new live auction item. Trying to think of, well, I'll just do a signed, looking around, trying to see what I could be clever with, but my creativity is gone today. So I'm just going to do a signed coffee cup, and it is going to be active. We want to make sure it's active, and I'm going to set a closing time. Let's say my event is tonight. I'll set my closing time to tonight at 11:55 p.m. It doesn't really matter what time you set it, as long as it's in the future. So that way people can view it and they'll be able to participate in it. So if the event was Saturday, I would set it to the 30th at 11:55. And the reason is the auctioneer is going to open that item at a very specific time that we don't know, and they're going to close it at a very specific time that we don't know. That's all going to happen in real time. So as long as it's just out there in the future, that's okay. So I'm going to hit done there. Then I'm going to choose live. This is very typical of what we've always done with ClickBid. You can create live items, even back before COVID. And what that did was it allowed us to sell live auction items at an event, and we would receive the final winning bid. So we would put that into ClickBid really fast after the live, and then people could check out for everything: silent live, donations, raffles, everything. Now what we're doing is we're adding a new drop down called Allow Live Bids. And if you set that to yes, then you can now accept bids live on the web. Whereas the old-fashioned, I guess, as of last year, the old way to do it was to just manually type in the winning bid after the live auction. Now we're going to let people put those bids in themselves. The difference is that you do need to set a starting bid. And if I usually start with the market value. If the signed coffee cup, I'm hoping to see $5,000, and I usually start my bids at 35 to 40% of the market value. So I'll just do 3,000. Let's just do 25. We'll do 50%. And my increments, I'd like to see maybe 10 to 15 live bids come in during this. So when the auctioneer says, do I see 5,000 or do I see 2,500? Okay, do I see 2,750? Do I see 3,000? I want to get about 10 to 15 of those. And if I get them, then what does that look like for my total? So if I did $250 and I got 10, then I would have pretty close to $5,000, or actually I would have $5,000. So I'm just going to do 250 here. Every time I talk about that, I feel like I'm just, throwing out a bunch of numbers. Usually I start with, my point is I start with market value, 5,000, do a 35, 40, somewhere range, starting bid, and then increments to get about 10 to 15 bids. When it's all said and done, that should total right around in that fair market, a little bit above. that's kind of what I do. We're actually working on a formula that'll put all that in for you so you don't have to think about it. You can put some images in there, some donor information, just like any other auction item. But I'm going to go ahead and press complete and go back. And then I can look for those items. So if I have, in this case, I have 23 auction items. A lot of times we see 250, 300 items. And I want to find the EventStream items that I created. I would just go to my tags and I would type in EventStream. And it's going to list all the items that I've created and established as items that will be available for bid during the live broadcast by the auctioneer. And so you can see my signed cup is there. And it's got a starting time or a closing time, sorry, tonight at 11:55 p.m. And I have a good starting bid, I have a minimum raise, and I have a fair market value. The reason I try to set these before we go live is that so when we do go live, I don't all of a sudden look and go, wow, I realize I hadn't set that. And now the starting bid is $1 or $5 or something completely off of what I really wanted. And in order to, what I mean by that is when my segue is to go during the event. So let's say we fast forward, it's the evening of the event. It's about 7:30. We've been broadcasting a bunch of pre-recorded videos, some interviews, maybe we've tied in a Zoom meeting, and we're ready to go to the auctioneer who's being brought in by Zoom or Skype. And the auctioneer is going to start opening those items. And it's, like I said, about 7:30, could be 7:31, 32, as you know, doing events, these times are really fluid. So you want to have things ready to go and so that you can open them on a moment's notice. So the way this works is the auctioneer, let's say the auctioneer is in Cleveland and I'm in Michigan and I'm running the event. From my computer, I have OBS. We'll talk about that in a minute. I have OBS and I have the auctioneer calling into my Zoom meeting. I have him live and I want to open the live items. In order to do that, I would open up the Butler tool. And Butler is a tool that we created years ago that was more of we call it the Fisher Price version of ClickBid. This is what people use at an event to try and keep things really simple. Search for bidders, check them in, add a bid, remove a bid, manage your appeal, fund a need, and now the EventStream is here. So this you can see is a much simpler view of running your auction. So a volunteer could do this very easily. So I'm running my broadcast and I go ahead and click on Manage Your Event Stream. My auctioneer is talking and my auctioneer is saying, okay, folks, we're going to start with a signed coffee cup. So I see that listed in my unsold items. And these 5 items you'll notice are the same 5 items that I had listed as EventStream items, because those are the ones that I said I want them to be live item types and I want them to be biddable online. So that's why they show up in this list. So when the auctioneer says signed coffee cup, I go ahead and press that and it preps the item. It basically gets it loaded so that I'm gonna actually, while we're here, I'm gonna load OBS so you can see what a person at home will see. And I'm gonna mute my mic and just hit start. We're gonna do a gray screen for now. We're gonna come back to OBS in a second. But suffice to say, I'm streaming and everybody at home is watching. And I am going to simulate, doing a couple things here. I'm moving pretty quick. I'm going to simulate my phone. So this is what all your participants are going to see when they watch your program on that Saturday night. So they're going to be bidding, bidding on some silent auction items. And then once the broadcast starts, boom, it pops open. We see that gray screen. I'm going to mute this just so we don't get any feedback. But now let's imagine that there's an auctioneer here looking sharp, talking up this new coffee cup that's up for auction. I'm again running the feed. I'm running this broadcast in my office or anywhere with good internet. And I clicked on signed coffee cup to prep that item. Now the auctioneer's talking about it. They're saying this cup is amazing. It was used by Steven Spielberg on his last feature film. He was nice enough to sign it for us. and donate it to our organization so that we could raise money for, child uh, child cancer research. So we're going to start the bidding, folks, at $2,500. Now, so while the auctioneer is prepping the item and kind of talking it up, we don't want bids to start flying in and confusing the auctioneer, but we do want them to get ready. So when I prepped the item, everybody at home now sees a bid live button. If I press the bid live button, you'll notice that my screen is now just the live feed, which would, again, we're using our imagination. There's an auctioneer talking, and I'm seeing the signed coffee cup. That's all there is. If I want to do a chat, I could do a chat, but until I press start, now I'm accepting bids. And so everybody at home is now going to see, I didn't click anything. I see a bid $2,500. That's the starting bid. Keep it as simple as possible. Nobody at home had to do anything except the bid live button. So I'm going to bid $2,500. Yep, that's me. I'm now winning the item. And because everything is real time, the auctioneer is seeing this come in. And it says, Jody Test is the person that I logged in as, is my test account. I see 131. And as the auctioneer, they get another version of this screen that's much more simplified, and it's really view only. It's kind of what we call a confidence monitor. If when you do live events, the AV company will oftentimes put a little kind of tilted TV on the stage so that you can see what everybody else is looking at on the big screens behind you. They call that a confidence monitor. So we give that same thing to the auctioneer, so the auctioneer knows what's happening. That's really important. The auctioneer needs to know that Jody just bid $2,500. The next bid is $2,750. Okay, folks, $2,750. Do I see $2,750? $2,750 going once, $2,750 going twice. All right, folks, let's make it $2,700. And so I'm going to knock off $200. And so let's make it $2,700. Do I have $2,700? And so in real time, I can make these changes. I can, reduce the next bid. I can add to the next bid just by clicking these up and down buttons. And so people are bidding on this at home. And if the auctioneer doesn't feel like they're getting a lot of traction, they can drop off, $500. All right, folks, let's do, let me click, my mouse is touchy. Okay, folks, $2,600. Do I see $2,600? And then somebody at home says, yeah, I'll bid $2,600. And then they bid $2,600 and the auctioneer sees the next one come in. In this demo, it's the same person because I only have one person. So when the auctioneer is ready to sell it, I'm watching them. I have a confidence monitor of my own. I'm watching the auctioneer from my home in Michigan, and he's in, I think I said Cleveland, maybe something. He's not here. He's in another location through Zoom. And he says, going once, going twice, and sold to Jody for $2,600. That's an amazing deal. Great job, Jody. Let's move on to our next item, the New York City package. And so at home, Jody is going to see you won this item. Everybody else who bid on it is going to see that they didn't win the item. And that's how that goes. The auctioneer says, let's move on to the New York City package. And the person who's running the confidence display or the live auction is going to keep pressing these items as they work through it. So if you imagine an auction in real life, these are both real life, but in person, the auctioneer is just working through the list of auction items. And they usually have what are called spotters or clerks to work with them so they can look around the room and see paddles go up. That's essentially what somebody's doing here. They're clerking the auction, but they're doing it digitally instead of, looking around the room for people to raise their paddle. So usually when we do a live auction, we have the auctioneer. That's what they do. They're good at it. We don't ask them to do any heavy lifting of clicking buttons and doing things. And we have one of their clerks, or one of us will, train the clerks or the volunteer at the organization how to navigate through this. And okay, we're going to start with New York City package, boom, Ford fireworks package, boom, weekend. When we move on to the appeal, the clerk would press donation items, and then they would press fund a cause. If I got the right one, I did. So in this case, fund a cause, we have a goal of 30,000. We currently have $10,000 raised, and we have two increments, 5,000 and 2,500. The auctioneer would see this very same thing on their phone or tablet or wherever, whatever they wanted, laptop, and they would say, okay, folks, what I want you to do is to close that live bidding window and press the donate button. When you press that donate button, you're going to see a $5,000 increment or a $2,500 increment. Let's start at $5,000. Can we get 10 people to give $5,000? So I give 5,000 and I gave, and then now the auctioneer sees that that came in. We're at 15,000. Awesome, Jody, thank you so much, $15,000. And then that continues to, go around all of your participants. Now, we did have a question come in. Sorry, it took me so long to get to it. Can this only be done using OBS? And no, you can definitely do this with, we have a couple of options. What I want to jump to is back to the main menu. Actually, I can close this window. Back to my admin, and if I go to Event Central, live broadcast, this is the other feature that's part of live or EventStream, is the live broadcast page, because with EventStream you get a live channel, and just like CNN, ESPN, HBO, you get a channel that you can put anything you want on it. You can put pre-recorded video, you can put live video, you can play just music, you can do a PowerPoint slide. What you're getting is a channel that you can broadcast, and that channel is super fast. It's less than 1 second delay. So we call that glass to glass. The time when I speak into my web camera or camera, the time it takes from that to get to everybody else's screen or phone around the web is what's called latency. That's how long it takes. The service we use is less than 1 second. The time it takes for me to say something, hit my camera, go out to the web, back out to everybody's cell phone who's bidding in the auction is about 500 milliseconds or half a second. So it's incredibly fast. It's just like Zoom. So there's very little delay. And what we do is that's the channel we give you, and you can use it however you want. In order to get that blazing fast speed though, you have to use a certain technical term protocol called WebRTC. There's two ways to do that currently. One of them is to use your web browser. If I just want to set up, let's say I'm going to do an opening video. It's Monday before the event. The event's on Saturday. It's Monday. I want to welcome everybody to the event. I want to say, hi, everybody. This is Matt from the ClickBid Foundation. I'm so excited to open the auction right now. Everybody can bid on the silent auction from now until Saturday. Coming up this week, we're going to have a couple of guest lectures that are going to be broadcast live. Don't miss those. We're going to send you emails with those broadcasts. I want to tell you quickly how to bid. All you have to do is search for an item that you're interested in, or you can browse by category. Just tap the bid more button, choose your maximum amount that you're willing to pay, and let the system bid for you. It's that simple. If you get outbid, we'll send you a text message, and then you can increase your bid. If you have any questions at all, please let us know. Give us a call, send us an email, and then that kind of thing. Have a great experience. We hope you bid high. We hope you bid often, and we'll see you later this week. And then I sign off. I could have done all of that just by clicking this open broadcaster and then hitting start on my screen. This is me broadcasting out to everybody on the web through my browser. I didn't have to download any software. I didn't have to connect anything. I just hit start and it starts broadcasting. That is the easiest way. Unfortunately, it's also the simplest, most basic way. I can't add any video elements. I can't do a PowerPoint slide. None of that can happen when I'm just doing this. So this is really reserved for very simple stuff, very effective stuff, especially if you're going to open up your auction on a Monday and you want people to get excited and log in at a certain time. That can be really effective, but this is the easiest way to do it. The second way to do it is to use what's called OBS software. And we have a question here. What is OBS? OBS is a software program that was developed by developers online, and it's called Open Broadcasting Software. It's free software. It's called freeware. You can download it to Windows machines and Macintosh machines, and it lets you, it's basically a video version of PowerPoint. It's not as pretty as PowerPoint, but basically you build a program just like you would build a slideshow. And then when you're ready to broadcast it, you just hit start broadcasting and you just work through your presentation, just like if you were giving a, month-end report on, budgeting, or a sales pitch, with the PowerPoint slides, and you would just click next and next and next and talk, click next, talk, click next. It's the same exact thing, except you're adding elements like edited video and a Zoom meeting and a couple of images or some music. You're adding that to OBS and then you're broadcasting it. In order to do that, you need to have the address of where you'd like to send all of that material. Just like putting a letter in your mailbox, you have to put an address on it so that it knows, the postal system knows how to route that properly to get it to the right person. You have to do the same thing with the software you downloaded. You put in that address, and now when you hit start broadcasting, it knows, oh, I got to go here. So it sends it to that web address. So let's take a look at how that works. You can download the software here. We keep, this is a customized version of the publicly available software. That's a mouthful. OBS is free, and they update it regularly with hundreds of developers around the internet just making contributions. The company that we partner with made their own custom version of OBS that they use to make that real-time video feed. So you would download it from here. You wouldn't be able to find it on the OBS website. You would find it on our website. So we make it available here for you. It's pretty easy. Just click on whatever version you want, download it and install it. Takes only a few seconds. And then when you open it, it looks, let me move this up here and I'll stop streaming. And when you open it, it looks a lot like this. Blank, nothing here, a big black screen. You've got a box here that says scenes. You have a box that says sources. You have this thing here that says audio mixer and controls. So this is how you build your program that you want to send out to people on the internet. You build scenes just like you would build PowerPoint slides. Inside of your scenes, you put sources like a color background that I just had in there, text, pictures, video, and so on. Then what I'm going to do is, in my first scene, I'm just going to create a color source like I had. I'm going to hit OK, and then I'll pick, that's fine. We'll just go with gray again. Then I'm going to put a text element. So I'm clicking inside of this scene, I'm clicking the plus button down here and adding down here, I'm adding a text element. So I'm going to call it our program will begin soon. And then I can notice it's really big text. It's kind of going off the screen. If I hit OK, you just like PowerPoint, you can click and drag that layer anywhere you want. You can also click on the corners. See how it's got these little boxes? I can click on those corners and drag it around anywhere I want. Make it smaller. I'm going to click and drag it, make it a little bit smaller, and put it right here. So now I can have our program will begin soon. This is kind of like playing a movie trailer before a movie. I usually recommend that you start your program at if you're going to start the program at 7, start your broadcast at 6:50. You can do things like put sponsor logos in there. You can put cool facts about your organization. If you have a sponsor that does commercials on television, have them send you the commercial and you can play it right here in OBS. Let me see if I have a video. I'm going to just click plus to add a new scene, or in the PowerPoint world, it's going to be a new slide. It's going to be blank. And then I'm going to choose plus down here, and I'm going to choose media source. This says, okay, well, give me a file. So I'm going to grab a file off my local computer. And let's see if I have something. Okay, so here's a program that was done last summer, and it's a pre-built program that they wanted to play in real time. So you can see here, there's some audio. So so these are called audio meters. They bounce, so you can see that there's audio there. You can adjust the volume. And they did what I had described earlier, which is put sponsors in here. Now you'll notice that the program is a countdown before the program actually starts. And I've got this, every time I come to this scene, it's going to play that video. Now, let's see if I can skip ahead. So you can skip ahead, and now I see that it's, they added a countdown. Now they actually created this whole, they had somebody locally produce this. We have a service that we can do the same thing. But if you have somebody locally that can produce an entire video, all you have to do is hit play and hit start streaming. That's your entire program. This will just continue to play. Let me come all the way up here. Let's get into the program. And you can see it's just playing, playing, playing. If I hit start streaming and I go back to my bidding site, you'll see here that it pops open automatically and starts playing. So now I can bid and I can watch the program. So I'm going to pause that, or mute it so it's not competing with my dialogue, because I know that you want to hear me talk. And this would actually be much more enjoyable to watch. This was a great event that they put together. And so it's just playing. And I actually broadcast this for them. They were a little nervous. They said, "Matt, we've got this whole program we want to broadcast. It's just one video. Would you be willing to play it?" I said, "Well, sure. I have really good internet and I can set this up for you. So if, that's something you guys would like to talk about, I'm happy to talk about that offline."
Question here.
What's that?
Can you just a question, can you do this at the same time that you're broadcasting it on other platforms?
So yeah, that's called simulcasting, and OBS at this point does not have a simulcast feature. What you would have to do is, there are services online that support multicasting. So instead of sending directly to our service right away, you would actually send to a multicasting service that would then handle all of the distribution. What I've recommended in the past is broadcast to your EventStream site so that it incentivizes people to log in, get a bidder account, start bidding in the auction, and then right after the program, upload the broadcast to YouTube and Facebook, and then play it after your initial broadcast. So it gives people a reason and an incentive to watch the program live before they can just, pick it up on YouTube or, afterwards. One organization even went as far as to say, if you want to watch our entire 1-hour program, the only time and the only way to watch it is to create a bidder account, log in, and watch it. We'll make a highlights reel that's maybe 2 minutes, but if you want to watch the whole program, the only time you can watch it is Saturday night, just like you would have a gala. If you want to be at the gala, you have to buy a ticket and be there on Saturday. Otherwise, you can look at the pictures after the event, but that's it. So that's how they styled their event. And frankly, that's not a bad way to go, because, historically people have been concerned that, should we allow online bidding because it turns people off to going to the event. Now, I don't think that happens, but if you can watch the broadcast on YouTube or Facebook, you're not logged in to bid. And I think that's important. We want people to give, and we want people to bid in the silent auction and even the live auction. So in order to do that, you have to have a bidder account. And we really, I suggest limiting it. So that's my soapbox. You can do whatever you want. But back to the original question, if you're using OBS, then there is only one. You have to pick which one you want. So I'll stop my stream. If I go to settings, I have the stream link here in the menu, and you choose your service. So Millicast is the version that comes with, or the option that comes with our version of OBS. And you can choose YouTube, Facebook, Restream. Restream is one of those services that will send it out to multiple places at once. If you want to send it to Restream first, if you have an account there, then you can send it to ClickBid and YouTube, Facebook, all at the same time. There is a delay. It will add a significant delay to the broadcast because Restream has to do a bunch of stuff in order to make it go to all the different sources. And when it plays back, it won't, the playback on ClickBid will be a lot faster or sooner than YouTube, because even when it gets to YouTube, there's about a 30-second minimum delay. They do some content filtering and stuff like that. So there's not really any way to play it all at the same time on all different platforms. There's always going to be a little bit different playback timing on it. The fastest way is to use the millicast option. We did have a question that came in. We have an outside marketing company streaming all of our pre-recorded video via OBS. Do they need to download the custom version in order for it to stream effectively? No, but what I will say is in the millicast version of OBS, you just choose stream, choose millicast, and it wants these two pieces of information: a streaming key or streaming name and a publishing token. In the admin, you'll see those right here: stream name, publishing token. We have little copy buttons next to it, so you don't have to try and select it. You can just click copy, and then you can paste it into OBS, and it'll do that for you. But if you're going to use the publicly available OBS, that is completely fine. There's just a little bit more of a delay in the delivery of your video. That's why the company we partnered with made their own version to completely eliminate that delay. But if you use the publicly available version, there's a little bit more of a delay. So if you're just playing pre-recorded videos, that's probably not a big deal. I mean, we're talking anywhere from 2 to 5 second delay. If you're doing live, then it could be a little bit more of a deal. So in order to do that, what you would do is in your live stream page, live broadcast page, and you will want to send your outside marketing company to get this information. I'm going to click other, because the question we ask is, how do you plan to send video to your EventStream channel? I might use my web browser like I showed you earlier, the OBS custom version that we've provided to you. You can use Zoom if you want to broadcast a Zoom meeting right to your EventStream, or if you want to do anything else. There's a lot of different programs out there, services. There's vMix, Restream, Minicam, lots of platforms that will stream, but you need to have these credentials. You need the RTMP publish path. You need the stream key. Again, we give you these copy buttons so you don't have to remember or type it all out. The other thing that's very important is to make sure that your company that's broadcasting it for you has this information here, because it's very important that you set your encoding settings right. Millicast, the company that we work with, does everything they can to get the video out as fast as possible. So in order to do that, they want you to cut down on some of the settings that you're sending the video with. So sometimes what we've seen in the past is people who use OBS to broadcast to YouTube or Facebook, they'll just change the credentials and it doesn't work very well, or you get poor playback. It's because of these settings. Anybody who's used OBS will see this and say, oh, okay, simple. And then they go into OBS, and then they go to their settings page, then they go to the output tab, and they fill in all of those settings. It's really simple. And then you can test it. And if you play 2 or 3 minutes, it looks good, plays good, nice and crisp, then you're golden. Everything's fine. The nice thing about OBS is once you put your settings in, it'll retain them, so you don't have to do it every time. I just recommend sending the AV company, create an email, copy it, and then paste that into an email, and this is everything they'll need. Well, you might want to start up with this. So copy all of that into an email, and then they'll see the screenshot, the settings, and they'll get your publishing information. I will say, make sure to send this to people that you trust, because these are your publishing tokens, and you don't want just anybody to have that. So one thing I do want to mention is the video privacy settings in ClickBid. We created this so that you could do a dry run. earlier I said, you open your auction on Monday, let people bid, and then you have the event on Saturday. But your AV company doesn't want to do a tech rehearsal until Friday night. So what do you do when you know people are bidding and you want to do a tech rehearsal? What we recommend is switch this to filter on your bidders. So you can filter the live bidding, the live auction bidding. You can filter the video feed to just bidders that you type in here. So you would type in 131, comma, 100, comma, 102, just a couple of bidder numbers from people who you want to look at the feed, but nobody else. And so what happens is when this is set up like this, only those 3 bidder numbers will be able to see any video that's broadcast and bid on any live auction items. So you could run an entire mock live event. You could run your entire event broadcast with just these 3 people seeing it and nobody else even knowing it's happening. And they could be just bidding away on auction items Friday night and have no idea that you're running a tech rehearsal. So when you're done, obviously switch it back to public, and then it's available to anybody. The other nice thing about your privacy settings is if you wanted to sell a VIP reception, we've done those, many, many times in the past at galas. People arrive an hour earlier if they bought the extra ticket. You could do the same thing here. You could create a table number called VIP and assign it to 50 people, and they can log in with their bidder numbers. They'll see the video broadcast. So if you wanted to broadcast a Zoom meeting or a Skype meeting or a pre-recorded video, then only those people would see it. When the VIP reception is done, sign off the meeting, go back to public, and then everybody can watch. And it's all real-time switching. So people don't need to refresh or any of that kind of stuff. So that's how you would use privacy settings for non-tech rehearsal stuff if you wanted to do maybe a VIP reception. So that's kind of the nutshell of how to do the EventStream service. When it comes down to it, and it comes down to event night, simpler is better. And I've seen this, quite a few times. I have seen people who have never done Zoom before or any kind of meetings before. They've done fine. They've set up and run their event. We've done 2 or 3 office hours meetings. I've set up a few private meetings where we can talk through the specifics of the event. But the most successful ones, in my experience, are the ones that they just kind of dial it back a little bit. Yes, it's kind of cool to do something new and crazy exciting, but it's also easier to have pre-recorded video that you just hit play, let it play. It's all timed out. There's no, surprises. There's no ums, uhs. I mean, I probably could have done this whole discussion in half the time if somebody had edited me down, and that you would have gotten just as good of information. So that's what's nice about pre-recorded video. But if you do want to add the live auctioneer, the fund to need, then I do recommend having your tech person who's ever going to be in charge of OBS sit in at an office meeting, set up a time to chat with me. Yes, will you be willing to share? Yes, absolutely. Can we share this recording with the tech team? You bet. I'll send you guys an email with this recording, and it'll have my email in it, and you guys can set up a meeting with me and your tech team, and we'll go over the details. I definitely want every event to go smoothly because we're trying to raise money at the end of this pandemic. So every dollar counts and every dollar helps, and we just don't want the video feed to freeze or do something that we don't expect. It is really, really simple to do, especially if you've done this. If you're a gamer or you do this as an AV company, this is really, really simple, and it's been very effective. I do see one more question. Yes, can you have more than one live auctioneer on at a time in different locations? So what I've seen done before is you can set up you set up your broadcast, your OBS computer. Usually it's a laptop, maybe an Apple computer, or I use a Mac Mini. And then you set up another laptop that just runs the Zoom meeting. That's all it is. You create a Zoom meeting, you send it out to 3 or 4 people anywhere in the world. They log in as long as they have good internet. And then you take that laptop's video and audio and just send it into your OBS computer. And OBS sees that laptop as just another web camera. So it says, oh, okay, well, you've plugged in another USB web camera and it's a Zoom meeting, happens to be a Zoom meeting. And then I can go into OBS and I can create a new scene, hit OK, choose plus, and I can do video capture device. That video capture device is going to say, which device do you want to use? And I would see in this list, I would see the USB device that I plugged in from my Zoom meeting. And then once I do that, I'll see it right here on the screen and I can share that with anybody. I could have 1, 2, I could feature one person. I could send, maybe I have 3 people I want to talk to, kind of like a talk show. I bring one person out of the waiting room, we talk. I'm on one side of the meeting, the other person's on the other side of the meeting. And then we send that person back to the waiting room. We bring in another person. We can bring in 2 auctioneers. We can bring in an auctioneer and a host. And it's really, you're basically taking the Zoom meeting and you're broadcasting it, however you decide to do it. So yeah, that's been very effective, very helpful. You can do the exact same thing with Skype if you're more comfortable with Skype. That one has some good features in it as well. So yeah, there's a couple of options there. And let's see. I have I'll go to this one first. Is there a way that an auctioneer can communicate with the audience other than through the app? So the way for the auctioneer to have a conversation with the audience is through the chat. So in my software, I have this chat button. I can go ahead and click on that. I can send a message to the auctioneer and they would see it and be able to respond. Typically that's in the form of, is it 4 nights or 5 nights for the vacation? Whose signature is on the guitar? That kind of stuff. If what the auctioneer could do is say, okay, folks, on a scale of 1 to 5, how good am I doing? And then people can chat, 1, 2. That's how a lot of, I'm not a gamer, my son is. And so I've watched a few streamers playing games and they'll do that all the time. They'll just say, chat, how am I doing? And then people will put in these weird like emojis and stuff. And so, for us older people, we might give people instruction to say, 1 through 5, how are we doing? 1 being good, and I'd better see only 1s. So they put it in the chat and you can interact that way. Unlike Zoom, it's not a back and forth. What you can do though, and I've seen people do this, is they do a live broadcast. It's very focused. So for 30 minutes, they do pre-recorded material. Then at the 30-minute mark, somebody comes on, again, probably pre-recorded, and they say, folks, for the next 10 minutes, we're going to send you all to a Zoom meeting, and we're going to have different rooms, different breakouts that you can go to, and you can talk to different people. After that, we're going to come back and wrap up with a live auction. So you'd put in the chat, you would put the Zoom meeting, or you can use in ClickBid, you can use the mass messaging service, email bidders, text bidders. You could text them a Zoom link. They go to that. And since that's outside of the ClickBid app, they wouldn't be bidding or anything like that, but they would be able to interact. And then they can come back to, you would say in the Zoom meeting, all right, folks, we're wrapping up. Let's get back into the ClickBid app. We're going to, finish up with a live auction and a fund to need. And then you could send another text at that, kind of the bell that says, hey folks, time to go back to the software. We're going to finish up with a live auction. So people have done that to get more back and forth feedback. So that's an option. And I do see here that there is a question about the leaderboard or appeal display. Happy to answer that one.
Yeah, we're trying to use, at the end of our program, we wanted a way to kind of display to all our viewers watching how much money we've raised so far. And I know our tech team has like a really good setup working with the appeal display, but my understanding is that that's just for the one auction item that is a donation, like a raise a paddle. And we're looking more for something that would give total raised through all the items. Is that something that we can do?
Yeah, good question. There's a couple of things that can be done. Let's see, what would I do? So under Event Central, we do have a leaderboard. If I go to leaderboard, I can show the, well, this is silent and live. So not, well, actually all totals. So if I do all totals and every visible item, let's just do all, yeah, every visible item, I guess is what I'm looking for. And I can show 6 items at a time, 10-second looping name, and I just need a hidden name, and then I can launch. Now this is the link you can put into OBS, but I'm just going to click launch, and it shows me, I have some custom style sheets going, so it looks a little congested, but it shows an auction total here and a list of auction items. What you could do is if I click on this link and I choose copy, then I go to OBS and I go to, well, let's do, so we're going to show this video, and while it's broadcasting, I'm going to show a browser element, and this is where I put in, come on, my page, and I'm just going to type in 1920 by 1080. That's the full size of my canvas. And then I hit OK, and it's going to drop my, oh, maybe I need to make it a little bit bigger because it's all cramped up there. So let me double click, and let's just do 2500 by 1600. I don't know, something. So I just want it to be bigger. Well, I can change it around and style it. So without getting into too much of it right now, what you can do is you can crop. It was what I was trying to show you was cropping it. So if I crop this and then crop, I'm using what are called modifier keys. I can get rid of all of this, and then I can put this down in the, we call it a lower third. You can drop it down here and you can show an auction total. Now, again, I have some goofy custom style sheets that most events don't have. So it's definitely not displaying the text the way I want it to, but that is one way to do it. And it'll
Okay,
show
so then that would be overlaid on top of whatever video we have playing.
Yep.
Quote unquote live.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
Yeah, live is relative in right. This world.
So at the same time, if we wanted to just do pop-ups of the names, in that screen that you showed us, you can select 1 up to 6, right? So we could do 1 at a time in rotation, and that can go into the lower third, and we can put, as people are bidding, they would pop in.
Yes, there's an event feed as well, which if you did an event feed, this is more of a live page that it's kind of like a, what do we call it? Like in when you show a status feed. So as people are giving, these are loading up and then it scrolls. So people continue to give. So for instance, you know, Jody gave $5,000 for Fund a Cause. Now you can change these colors so they don't look all pumpkin-y, but and then, you know, if an item gets updated, if there's an auction bid, if somebody bought tickets, it basically just keeps feeding the data so that things can come in. That's one option. And then the other thing is, I did want to mention it, is the actual appeal. If I go to Fund a Cause, every donation item type, when you choose donation, you get projected display options because it's a special item that can be displayed for an appeal. and you get one of these links again, these public links. If I copy that link, and in my display settings, I want to show donor names. Let's see, my goal is 30,000, and I want to do a custom background, which is just black. I was doing a demo on how to float it on video, so longer discussion. And then I were to take that link and come to OBS and choose browser. Again, 1920 by 1080, and then paste that in here. It will show my fund a need, and it'll show the names of people giving. So it'll just keep adding those names as they come in, and it'll pop, 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 pop all the way down the page. And then as people give, the thermometer will go up to its actual goal, which is 30,000.
But
So
these are just the people who are giving to that particular, this one include
correct.
bids coming in and whatever, all the other items we have.
Yeah, it's something we've actually talked a little bit more about lately with, having just an overall all-in goal. Most of our charities don't think of their goals that way. They think of it as more like, how much do we want to raise it live? How much do we want to raise it silent? And then appeal. But if you did have an overall goal, you could set up a display page and broadcast it. So that's definitely something we'll be doing, making it more easy to do. Just like you set up this page, it would allow you to set up a totals page or a dashboard, I guess, that you could then switch to. So if I have my live auctioneer right here, for instance, I'm talking, hey everybody, and I'm on this black screen, and then the auctioneer says, folks, we need another $10,000. The person who's running OBS can switch. Now they're showing the total. See, folks, we only have, and the auctioneer is saying, see, folks, we only need X number of dollars, and then switch back to the auctioneer, back to the amount raised, back to the auctioneer, and so on. So that in that sense, it's more like kind of like the Super Bowl, how you have people in a big room and they're switching between all the cameras that are at the arena so that you can get the best shot. And so we cut to the quarterback camera, then we cut to the blimp camera, then we cut to a wide camera, and so on. And you're just doing that the entire football game, just like you could be doing here with switching between pre-recorded content, a Zoom meeting, and so on. So yeah, I know that when I do these, every time I get to the end of an office hours, I think, man, I went through a lot. And so it can sometimes feel a little bit overwhelming. Having done this so many times, it gets pretty repetitive to me, but at the same time, I still remember doing my first office hours and thinking, wow, I got to make this easier. So I would encourage, to try to, come back again, maybe Thursday, or if you have questions when I send that email, reply to me directly. Like I said, I want to be available to make your event go really, really well. I don't want you to put money into ClickBid and then have something go wrong when you're broadcasting. So I'd like to help you as much as possible. So feel free to reach out. I'm available. If you still have questions about the capabilities of EventStream, I'm happy to answer those too. So if there's any other questions, I'm happy to stick around. Otherwise, I think we're wrapped up.
I have just a really quick basic question.
Sure.
In order to use EventStream and say we're live broadcasting a video on our website, does each bidder have to be logged in to be able to view it, or can they just have the link to our website and view it at the top?
Great question. So in the every event comes with a landing page. And so that looks like this, so minus, an event to remember. And you'll notice that I have here a live broadcast window that's waiting for the program to start. So once I start broadcasting, it'll replace that there. What you do, let me close this, is in your software settings page, landing page content, in any of your content areas, section A, B, C, or D, if you're using the enhanced, but let's say in section A, if I wanted to add my live broadcast, I'm going to delete it. We have what are called short codes. They're little things you can add that are kind of dynamic to your landing page to give it a little more value, that are code based, but we don't want you to have to know how to write a bunch of code. So we give you what are called short codes to say, yeah, put that really smart logic-y thing here, but I don't want to know how to build it. So I can embed a YouTube video. I can embed Facebook Live. I can embed the ClickBid event stream, which is the live broadcast. I can just embed a random website. I can embed the leaderboard, event feed, appeal display, sponsor images, an item donation form if you're looking for items from people who are visiting, and then an Instagram feed. So I'm going to choose the event stream. Gives me a little instruction that if there's any custom data, it'll be listed in caps. This one doesn't have any custom data. It's just, boom, it puts my live feed right on my landing page. And so now what I can do is when I save this, I just click outside of that box and then I refresh and there it is. If I start broadcasting, it will automatically, if people are just on the page, it will automatically, it takes a second, start playing, which it's not gonna, there's nothing to play right now. But if I had my, there's my, our program will begin soon. And you can see how fast and responsive it is. So if I were to turn this off, you would see, whoops, you'd see the video. And that's how quick it is. Normally this is a 30, you know, with YouTube, it's a much slower response, but you know, we're getting that less than 1 second delay. So that's how I would do that. The other option you can do, if I stop streaming, is in your admin, if I go back to Event Central and the live broadcast page, you may have seen it, there's a public viewer link. We're actually going to roll out in the next week. We're going to update this so it's much, much shorter, so it's not so goofy looking. This link, if I were just to copy this link and put it on my corporate website, send it out in an email, put it on Instagram as a link, that link is basically it's the player, it's the broadcast in a web link format. So it's a public, oops, yeah, so now I've got it playing in like 2 different places. So this I could just put on my corporate website or your nonprofit website, and it would play the broadcast if you wanted people to go there, or if you had an event landing page from another company that was providing broadcasting services, you could embed it on that page as well. So we try to give you as many different distribution options as possible, because, you know, while my opinion is that you want to gatekeep it by making people register to bid and participate, everybody has a little different need, and, you know, we'll make it work. So. All right. Well, like I said, you should see an email from me shortly once the Zoom meeting has finished and I put it up on YouTube. And then, yeah, feel free to respond with questions. I'm happy to help. Yeah, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.